it's a serious issue. All the questions is just been put in a hands-off approach. So, Mr. Speaker, would we be in order to request that the minister comes back with a better answer?
Minister, the issue of the DCs being chairs of both education and security is a matter that you cannot avoid answering. And if you want time to address that issue, we'll give you time, but you cannot possibly separate the two when it's the same person chairing the two committees.
But, Mr. Speaker, let us be fair enough. The members of parliament here are also members of DBs where those DCs sit. What deliberations do they make with the DCs? Let us be fair, Mr. Speaker. All of us are members of DBs.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of
Order, members. Except, Mr. Minister, that the responsibility of answering that question lies squarely on you.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we shall ask the DBs, chaired by DCs, to not to direct, to pass the information to the security committee of the various districts so that they can act accordingly in regard to that.
When will you do this? When will you do this, and how much time do you require to come and report back to the House that you've done exactly what you've said?
Well, these are directives that we give. But if you want the data that on the impact of the directive, that should take time.
Order, Minister. You've said you are going to give a direction. All other chair is asking you is how long will you require to come back to the House to report that you have indeed issued the necessary directives?
Well, I can bring back a letter giving direction to that effect within a month.
This question will be back on the order paper 30 days on the Wednesday, 30 days after today, for the minister to give a report, the status report. Nominated member Sheikh Mohammed Dor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to apologize for coming late, and I arise to ask question number 1069.
Minister for Gender, Children and Social Development.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to reply. The ministry spends 200 million Kenya shillings every month on orphans and vulnerable children in the country. In Mombasa, a total of 3 million was spent every month during the year 2009-2010 financial year. During the same period, no such money was spent in Lamu County. The program is being steadily upscaled, and Lamu has been catered for in the current financial year, that is 2011-2012, with an allocation of 14 million Kenya shillings, which has been allocated to the county. This translates to 5.6 million for 280 households in Lamu East and 8.4 million for 420 households in Lamu West. The ministry has just concluded the beneficiary identification and targeting process, and payment shall be dispersed before the end of this financial year. My ministry has not been allocated, my ministry has not been allocated any funds to cater for street children in the country, and therefore no groups in Mombasa and Lamu have received such a funds from my ministry. C. In May 2011, my ministry undertook a rapid assessment on status of street children in Mombasa to establish their number and assess their needs for proper planning and better service delivery. Besides the rapid assessment, several mechanisms, programs and facilities to deal with the ever-increasing vulnerable children, including street children all over the country, have been put in place. These efforts are collaborative, where the government agencies as well as development partners are involved and include the establishment of child protection centers, which are to be used as fronts in a coordinated support system for children, including street children. Currently, there are 2 fully operational centers in Malindi and Garissa, and another 4 under construction in Kakamega, Siaya, Nakuru, and Nairobi. The drafting of the Children's Act Amendment Bill, which is aimed at enhancing child care and protection in the country, hence stemming incidents of abandonment, neglect, and all other forms of child abuse which drive children to the streets. As soon as it is ready, the bill will be brought to Parliament for debate and enactment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reply from the Minister, Part A, which stated very clearly that during the year 2009 and 2010 financial year, during the same period, no such money was spent in Lamu County. Can the Minister tell the House what criteria did they use at that time? Because Lamu is much, much poorer than Mombasa County.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I indicated in my answer that the program is being steadily upscaled and Lamu has been catered for. At that time, we had only a pilot scheme and we are now moving out of that pilot scheme, and this is why Lamu has now been considered during the year 2011-2012.
Member for Keharu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Listening to the Minister, he has stated while answering Part C of the question that the Ministry has established some centers to cater for the street children. But surprisingly, Mr. Speaker, the number of street children in Nairobi has increased so much that if you visited a place like Westratch, roundabout, on your way to Choromo, you find families on the streets in the morning and in the evening. Could the Minister specifically indicate where these centers are and why these children and families, street families, have not been taken to these centers in Nairobi?
Minister. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue of street children is very, very delicate, and it is a national problem which should also be taken care of, seriously by every leader in this country. And as I had indicated, we are now establishing some of these centers. I told you, we already have operational centers in Malindi and Garissa, and another 4 are under construction in Kakamega, Siaya, Nakuru, and Nairobi. So being a national problem, please let us all as leaders take it seriously.
Millie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was on KTN this morning, and a lot of viewers asked me this question. Some people called from Mombasa, from Kitale, from Kisumu. And Mr. Speaker, last week when I was in Bita, people from Lambwe, from Pangano, and Rusinga asked me to ask the Minister this question. That now that you are upscaling, because all this while that people have been asking the questions around these funds, you've been saying that it's a pilot. Now that you are upscaling it, what criteria are you using? Because many people from those areas are not benefiting from these funds, yet in somewhere like Mbita, they are the ones that probably have the highest number of orphans and vulnerable children, and there are only specific areas that are touched.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, now that we are upscaling and we expect more monies from the government, most of these areas will be included, because we have already also opened offices in various, at the moment we have almost 150 offices, and I think Lambwe Oral Mbita is one of them. So will be included as well as funds this financial year.
Yes, member for Larry.
The minister has already informed the House that nationally 2 million shillings will be allocated to certain constituencies. What are the new efforts the ministry is taking to enhance the allocation so that more needy and poor children are allocated these funds in the countryside?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The ministry will be including more requests for more money in this the year 2012-2013 financial year to cater for these other areas. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Koich.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the solutions is to ensure that these orphaned and vulnerable children go to school, so that they can be able to participate in the building of our nation. Mr. Speaker, 200 million every month allocated to these children would go a long way in helping and alleviating this. How much of this 200 million have you allocated for bursaries, for school fees for these children?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have yet to allocate now specifically amounts for bursaries. Otherwise, at the moment we have about 5 government rehabilitation schools in various parts of the country where these children, the few who are there, are provided for.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue of street children increase in Mombasa is well known, and the issue of child abuse. When will the minister, based in one of the counties at the coast, the toll-free child helpline number 116? When?
Minister.
We are asking, we have requested for funds in the year for the budget of 2012-2013, and as soon as that is done, we should be able to do it in the next financial year.
Member for Turkana Central. Member for Turkana Central. I thought I saw member for Turkana Central somewhere. Next question dropped. Member for Kalau.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have asked this question. I asked question number 1219 second time today, and it's the seventh time since I started asking this question, Mr. Speaker, sir. Something must be done for this question because it's very important for women losing their market.
Local government. Yes, Mr. Otieno, are you? Okay. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Local Government. Leader of Government Business. Where is the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Local Government?
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the sentiments by the member for Al-Kalau and plead with him that he gives the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Local Government up to Wednesday next week to be able to come up with this question, an answer to this question. And I believe he is going to be satisfied if he does give that indulgence. So, Speaker, sir.
Dr. Muredi?
Mr. Speaker, sir, considering the speed at which private developers move, maybe by Wednesday they have started constructing the stores, and the women who range about 50 women and who are given CDF funds to fence and build the toilet would have lost.
The Leader of Government Business tells you that you will be very happy on Wednesday when the question will be answered.
Can it be done on Tuesday, Mr. Speaker, sir?
But you saw we deferred so many questions to Tuesday. There is already the allocation for Tuesday. If we do that, you may not get justice when the minister rises to answer.
Okay, as guided, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Next Wednesday. And before that, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Local Government must offer the Speaker an explanation as to his absence in the House this morning before he can transact further business in the House. Member for Turkana Central. Member for Turkana Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, apologies for running late, but Mr. Speaker, I was also consulting the Minister, and can I ask the question then?
You're consulting the Minister to answer you in private, or?
Yes.
Very well, then we will defer the question so that the Minister can answer you in private.
Thank you, sir.
Member for Arieda. Member for Arieda.
Mr. Speaker, my apology for coming late, but I rise to ask question 1352 in today's order paper.
Minister for Information and Communications.
Mr. Speaker, I've already consulted the member. We have been in touch with the member. We have looked at the matters at hand on the same issue, and I'm not satisfied with the answer myself. And I would like to request for 2 weeks to come up with a more detailed answer.
Member for Radiata.
Mr. Speaker, I have no objection because this thing is about consumer protection and it is better to have a more adequate answer.
Question deferred 2 weeks hence.
Thank you.
2 weeks. Member for Gatundu North. Member for Gatundu North. Question dropped. Member for Nyaribare Chache.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask a question number 1475 in the order paper.
Minister, member, were you order minister? Is this a question being asked the second time?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Did you ask the first time?
No, Mr. Speaker.
So you are out of order then.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize for coming late. I walked in a moment after you had already gone for the second round. And if you allow, I ask the question, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Minister for Roads.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to reply. The Kisii-Keroka Road, that is B3, commenced on the 27th of July 2010 and was completed within 6 months in the period starting December 2010 and ended in June 2011. The construction of Daraja Moja Bridge commenced on the 29th of April 2010 and was completed on the 20th of June 2011. Then, Mr. Speaker, the potholes emerging from some sections of the above road and the approaches to the bridge have been caused by a roadside car wash and leaking water pipes belonging to the Lake Victoria South Water Services Board. As a result, the Kenya National Highways Authority is currently liaising with the Water Board in view of resolving the problem by rerouting the water pipes. I have instructed the Director General of the KENHA to issue notices to the roadside car wash operators to vacate the road reserve. See, Mr. Speaker, as I have mentioned above, the damage to the road was caused by leaking water pipes and water from the roadside car wash. I have instructed the DG KENHA to send a technical team on the ground to assess the damage and submit a report and appropriate action taken thereafter. Thank you.
Dr. Monda.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm so saddened by the answer given by the minister. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you look at this answer part A, the road was completed construction between Kisii Town and Keroka last year, June. The bridge took 2 years to construct, Mr. Speaker, and was completed last year, 2011. Mr. Speaker, Daraja Moja is known of the bridge, Daraja Moja is known of the many accidents that have killed people in Kisii Town, And this is what warranted the reconstruction of the bridge by the ministry. Mr. Speaker, a road constructed less than a year ago has potholes on the bridge, right in the middle of the bridge, and even beyond. Mr. Speaker, on Monday, members of the public planted bananas on the middle of the bridge because it's not a road, it's simply bottles and the water stuck in the middle of the bridge, leading to a situation where we are heading to get the bridge totally cut off and the cut off Kisii town from the road heading to Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, what is the ministry doing to ensure that the shoddy job done by the contractors leading to the present situation of the road is redone? The bridge is redone and urgently so to save members of the public road users from encountering accidents like we have had before after the completion of this bridge.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I indicated earlier, we have instructed our technical team to supervise this particular bridge and to confirm that indeed the position is indicated by the member is correct. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, at the point of completion and the defect liability period, which is normally 6 months after the actual construction, the report that we had been given was okay. But in view of the complaints arising from the member, we'll be having a technical visit there and we'll be able to inform him accordingly and action will be taken thereafter.
Mr. Speaker, the importance of this road cannot be overemphasized. This road serves the better part of Western region and even access Tanzania through Isebania. But Mr. Speaker, reading from the minister's answer that the potholes are caused by the leaking water pipes, yet this road was just done last year. Mr. Speaker, is the minister confirming to this House and this country that the ministry does not have technical people who would, before the road construction begins, knows exactly where the water pipes are so that appropriate action is taken before the reconstruction was taken?
Mr. Speaker, the responsibility of rerouting the pipes does not belong to the ministry. And Mr. Speaker, the problem that we are currently having on this section of the road, maybe not the entire section, is that the pipes are old and leaking. And moreover, we have people who have set up car washes that don't have proper drainage. But Mr. Speaker, we have said this is only preliminary. And once we are able to send our team on the ground, we'll be able to have the right report based on what is happening on the ground. And thereafter, we'll be able to take remedial action. Thank you.
Sakuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to know from the minister what step is the ministry taking with the cowboy contractors or those contractors who are doing short